What's up everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Game Pass in Review. My name's Kevin, aka the Muffin Mon, and this week we're taking a look at Deep Rock Galactic, developed by Danish indie studio Ghost Ship Games and published by Coffee Stain Publishing, fully released in May 2020 on Xbox One and PC, meaning this game is an Xbox console exclusive for the moment. I discovered Deep Rock Galactic through Reddit, actually. My friends and I couldn't find a game to play together, so I asked for suggestions, and this was one that was thrown around constantly. Now, what is Deep Rock Galactic? Well, in my opinion, it's a hidden gem you might scroll right by on Game Pass, but I suggest you stop and give it a look. Deep Rock Galactic is a 1 to 4 player co-op first-person shooter where you or a group of friends take on the role of dwarves, enter procedurally generated caves, and complete a variety of objectives such as mining for certain minerals, building and defending pipelines, and more. I highly recommend playing this with a group of friends as there's 4 dwarf classes: Engineer, Gunner, Driller, and Scout, each with unique abilities that when combined make cave exploration easier and more enjoyable. However, it isn't all rainbows underground. While trying to complete these objectives, you're forced to battle swarms of giant insects like spiders. In terms of the story, there really isn't one. When you return to your home mission base, you usually get some dialogue about good job, or don't play with barrels, or don't dance. You can infer that you and your dwarf pals work for some sort of corporation that pays you to go on these dangerous missions. There isn't really any story to this game as far as I can tell. You just accept dangerous missions to go on with your friends, and the company pays you and you can upgrade your gear. It's really more about the gameplay here than it is the story, but it does give you fun times with your friends. The gunplay is good, each weapon and class feel unique, the special abilities really do set the dwarfs apart. As I mentioned, you're going to want to play with friends and combine those for a much more enjoyable experience. This game gives me Left 4 Dead type vibes where you're there for the good times with your friends more than the story. In a time where staying connected can be harder than ever, this is really important, and that's why I think this game is really great right now. The game offers a progression system with each mission giving you experience, materials, and currency to buy cosmetics to customize your dwarf. You can upgrade your weapons. Doing the missions and completing challenges earns you stars to get perks and improve your character. The atmosphere is fun, silly, plain and simple. It's obvious from the start that developers know this game is ridiculous in the best way. The dwarves have a silly dialogue. You can spend time kicking barrels in the ship into hoops for points, having a pint at a bar that they have with your friends. You can rock out on the jukebox while they dance, and then your overlord yells at you to get back to work. The caves can provide a sense of dread as they're incredibly dark, and you can only light them up by throwing flares. You constantly feel overwhelmed by the amount of enemies, especially if you go on higher difficulties. The music, I think, goes a little under the radar, especially when you're in combat, but I suggest giving it a listen, especially during the swarm sequences, as I mentioned. They can really set the tone and pump you up for combat. Being an indie game, there isn't a mind-blowing graphics here. You're met with a simple texture, probably a bit more detail than Minecraft, a cartoonish art style for your dwarves, caves, and creatures, but this is all very intentional, and I think it's pulled off pretty well. I never think the game looks bad, especially when on the Series X. It runs at 4K 60 the entire time. I can't speak to the loading times, as 3 of my friends are on the Series X, but unfortunately my one friend is still on the OG Xbox One, and we do have to wait for him to load in, which takes forever. There aren't any bugs that I've noticed besides the spiders, most likely due to the game's 2-year early access period. Overall, if you're looking for a game that's a blast to play with friends, controls well, looks good, and has a lot of replayability with the missions, I highly recommend Deep Rock Galactic, especially if you have Xbox Game Pass. If you're looking for a story-based game, this is not it, but it is a fantastic game that's still getting support, still getting new missions, still getting new content. I hope this game can be my rotation with my friends for a while. Project X Talk gives Deep Rock Galactic an 8 out of 10.